On March 27th, Journey Together and Rotation come to Pokémon TCG Live, marking a major shift in the standard format. But who cares about that? Cool people like you and me are excited for Destined Rivals, the English set after Journey Together, releasing on May 29th in Live. We're still waiting on official details about Destined Rivals from the Pokemon Company, but thanks to Pokebeach and some new Japanese cards, we have an idea of what to expect. So far, it looks like the trainers featured in Destined Rivals will be Marnie, Steven, Ethan, Cynthia, Arvin, Misty, and Team Rocket. And just this past Friday, the Marnie and Steven decks released in Japan. Unfortunately, Marnie is quite disappointing. Thankfully, Steven more than makes it even. I don't know. I tried to think of a math joke, but you should know not to count on me for that kind of stuff. Anyways, let's see what Marnie has to offer. Her headlining card is Grimmsnarl EX, which isn't a great attacker. While Manaphy doesn't exist post-rotation, 180 to their active plus 30 to a bench Pokemon isn't very good, even if it costs just 2 energy. The reason you're playing Grimmsnarl is the ability. Upon evolution, you can attach up to 5 Darkness energy from your deck to your Marnie's Pokemon however you want. So yes, Grimmsnarl can power itself up immediately, but the Pokemon Company clearly wants you to pair it with Morpeko. While it only does 20 base damage, Morpeko does 40 more for each Darkness energy attached to it. So put all 5 energy from Grimmsnarl onto Morpeko, now you have a basic single prizer swinging for 220. Problem is, it only has 70 hit points, and once it's knocked out, you're kinda screwed. And getting a Grimmsnarl into play every single turn isn't feasible. And with Dark Patch rotating, re-accelerating energy isn't easy either. Unfortunately, I have to put Marnie in the bust category. She has other Pokemon, they just aren't good. Liepard only does 140 to EX Pokemon for 2 energy, meaning it's not even one-shotting a Gardevoir EX. While Scrafty is able to one-shot a Gardevoir, the card isn't playable otherwise. The Scraggy is a guaranteed energy discard, so that is a route you could take with Crushing Hammer, but that's more of a stretch than thinking Detective Pikachu was a good movie. But who cares about my opinion? How has Marnie been performing in Japan over its first few days of release? Well, in the first 2 days, we got just one winning list. And since the camera I have set up in those shops is only pointed at the player's feet, I don't know the full details. It could have been an 8-person tournament where everyone used a Marnie deck, meaning she was always going to succeed. Or everyone else could have felt bad for the person bringing a Marnie deck to a tournament and let them win. I just don't know. What I do know is that there's nothing exciting about this list. It's a 4-2-3 line of Grimmsnarl, which you use to get energy on your 2 Morpeko. Then you use Pecharunt EX to poison Morpeko, attach Binding Mochi to increase its damage by 40, and call it a day. Obviously, Grimmsnarl will have to attack if you're going to win with this build, and that doesn't seem like a good thing. Even with the Mochi attached, it's topping out at 220 damage. And since Dark Patch is gone in our next format, powering up a Pecharunt EX to get a surprise KO at the end of a game is next to impossible. So you essentially have to rely on Grimmsnarl's ability to power up your Marnie's Pokemon while manually attaching to a Munkidori or Pecharunt EX. On day 3, however, which was Sunday, which makes sense if you're watching this video as soon as it came out because Japan is in the future, several Marnie decks helped improve her grim outlook. As I'm cycling through the list that either won smaller shop tournaments or placed in the top 16 of bigger shop tournaments, one card is clearly the difference maker: Survival Brace. If the Pokemon it's attached to has full HP, it survives a lethal attack via damage. Obviously, things like Dusclops and Dragapult pings are easy ways to counter Survival Brace, but used properly, you can build up a massive Morpeko that potentially takes one-hit KOs on back-to-back turns. There are a few other interesting cards in the Marnie list, including Energy Recycler and Drayton. Energy Recycler is likely getting reprinted in Destined Rivals. As a reminder, all of this is speculation, and the Pokemon Company could decide to withhold cards from that set because why not? And Energy Recycler is important here, shuffling in 5 energy from your discard pile back into your deck. This allows you to get the full effect when evolving into Grimmsnarl EX. As for Drayton, it's been seeing more and more play in Japan. I still don't believe in it because I've been screwed over way too many times by Great Ball and Energy Lotto, but Drayton can grab you a Pokemon and a trainer from the top 7 cards of your deck, or make you throw the card in the trash and never use it again, either or. As for how you're able to get the Marnie's Pokemon into your hand, there's Spikemouth Gym. Use it, grab any Marnie's Pokemon from your deck. It's an extremely powerful card, which unfortunately is paired with an underwhelming archetype. One card I haven't seen used all that much with Marnie is Professor Turo's Scenario. I thought this would be a one of in every list, sort of like what we see with our Chaladon EX. Instead, only one of the 7 noteworthy lists used it. I know the Stage 2 nature of Grimmsnarl makes it tougher to finagle Turo plays, And it's not like Morpeko needs to deal 440 damage, but I thought at least the option would be as attractive as a youngster in a hand with no other draw supporters. Overall, despite Marnie performing better than I expected this first weekend, I still highly doubt her Pokemon will make any sort of larger impact on the meta. Then we have Steven, who genuinely seems like a good archetype, or at least better than Marnie. The headliner is his Metagross EX, which has a boring 200 damage attack for 3 energy. What you care about is the ability. Once during your turn, you can accelerate a Psychic Energy and a Metal Energy from your deck to your Psychic or Metal Pokemon however you want. This is amazing! The Pokemon Company could have screwed this up by limiting it to just Steven's Pokemon, but they went the smarter route and allowed us to attach to any Psychic or Metal type. That opens up a world of possibilities, like when I realized you can turn feet sideways to fit more toes in your mouth. Unfortunately, making a Steven-only deck doesn't seem like the greatest idea. Yes, his Carbank and Granite Cave reduce the damage his Pokemon take by 30 each, meaning Metagross effectively has 400 hit points before buffing it even further with Hero's Cape, but his other cards aren't quite where they need to be. Starmie can snipe 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. That's okay if you want to do it twice and focus on de-evolution. Otherwise, it's maybe a one-of to clean up KOs. As for Claydol, while it does 220 damage and combos perfectly with Metagross and Energy Recycler, it is a Stage 1 line in a deck that relies heavily on a Stage 2 line. No, for Steven's Metagross to work properly, you need to use the best basic Pokemon available. And that is, of course, Lily's Clefairy EX. Releasing in Journey Together in 1 month, Clefairy EX can one-shot a Raging Bolt or a Dragapult EX thanks to its ability, which makes them have a Psychic weakness. Metagross powers up Clefairy in one go, making them great partners. It's not a guaranteed KO every time, as there does need to be 5 bench Pokemon in play to one-shot Raging Bolt and 7 for Dragapult, but it's more than doable. Elsewhere, Mew EX is always going to be useful in Metagross, and early winning lists even included a copy of Farigiraf EX. While Farigiraf is a Dark type and can't be accelerated to with Metagross, Girafarig can. This just gives you a different way to deal with Raging Bolt, as Farigiraf is immune to damage from basic Pokemon EX. And of course, Mimikyu exists to further annoy your opponent. Moving to the lists themselves, after Friday, things weren't too terribly exciting. This Metagross list did win a tournament, but it was just one of 2. Then, like me after Cerule edging for a few hours, it exploded on the weekend. Okay, well there was only a footful of winning Metagross lists plus a top 4 list from a bigger tournament, but it's better than nothing, okay? It's tough to say what the future will hold, but at least for now, going the Gardevoir route of 2 copies of Metagross EX seems to be the way. 1 Metagross plus a manual attachment is enough to power itself up, and the same holds true for attackers like Farigiraf and Mew. Though, I have seen about 40% of players opt for 3 Metagross. Based on these first few lists, Granite Cave and Carbank appear to be auto-includes, as they combined reduce the damage Metagross takes by 60. So even though Metagross itself only does 200 damage, it's almost guaranteed to survive a hit. Which leads me to a startling confession: Digimon Season 1 is better than Pokemon Season 1. Also, I was wrong about Super Potion. Healing 60 damage and forcing an energy discard in this day and age seemed terrible, but I've seen our Chaladon lists in Japan use it, and now Metagross. While it's still not a good card, the fact that it's playable in 2025 is crazy to me. I think my main disappointment is that no one in Japan is really whacking off. As I'm cycling through these successful Day 3 lists, nothing's making my balls heavy. Players are taking the safe route and going with Monkey Dory or a copy of the Dunsparce EX, but no one's winning with the Pheasantipity that will never work. I fingered my way through the available basic Metal and Psychic Pokemon, and well, let's just say it's slim pickings, so I can't entirely blame them. As for the A-Spec, Japanese players can't decide on the best one. Precious Trolley is the most used, as it fills up your bench and is Arven searchable. Grand Tree can get a Metagross up early, but it also has a chance to help your opponent. Maximum Belt boosts the damage against EX Pokemon by 50, and Hero's Cape gives Metagross 440 hit points. Throw in the 60 damage reduction, now it's effectively 500. Personally, I'll probably use the Cape first to gross people out with my new meta deck, but the Trolley will likely be the best option. All in all, Marnie seems like a super disappointing trainer. She does one thing, and she doesn't do it very well. If you get lucky with Survival Race, you can definitely cheese wins, but that's a big if in a world with Dusclops, Dusknoir, and Dragapult. I see Marnie fading quite fast in Japan, and I doubt I'll make more than one video on her before she rotates in 2028. Steven's Metagross appears to have a lot more potential, as it can power up any Psychic or Metal Pokemon. Lily's Clefairy EX and Mew EX are the best candidates for now, but as time goes on, I expect Steven to subtract many more wins from your opponents. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go now because that one even made me sad. Please just please like and subscribe to cheer me up.